102 in our 10-day forecast, but that's long gone. It's a distant memory, as they say. But we now have triple digits. So 25% of you say 100 degrees is too hot, 110, that's 75% of you. And I'm with the 75% of you, I've got to say. This morning, of course, we have Josh Colesroot here in the studio. Josh, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too.
Justin Lum as well, investigator. Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we're going to talk about the Vallow case, of course, in just a few moments. Another big day as we start this new week. But what is too hot for both of you?
95, I think, is already.
95 spoken, yeah.
I'm a California kid, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like if I walk out the front door in the morning with my suit on and I immediately start sweating, it's too hot.
It's too hot. You're done. You're like, take me back home. Let me jump in the pool. Let's talk a little bit about the case and what's to be expected here this morning, Justin.
Yeah. So right now we are waiting for Officer Ryan Pillar with the Gilbert Police Department continue his testimony. He's the lead agent on this case regarding Brandon Boudreaux, who was shot at on October 2nd, 2019. The bullet missed him by inches, and he's Lori Daybell's former nephew-in-law. And he just came out of Friday cross-examined by his former aunt-in-law. And, you know, that type of trauma, we talked about it just earlier. I mean, you have this pro se defendant doing cross on witnesses. That's one thing. But here's the lone survivor in this bizarre saga that after 5 years or more than 5 years gets to face her one-on-one and answer her questions. It is fascinating.
It is fascinating. And I'll tell you, in the 18 years of practicing criminal law, I've never seen a pro per defendant get an opportunity to cross-examine a victim. And, that's what's happening here. And I'll tell you, I watched the cross-examination and I watched Brandon Boudreaux's testimony, and he did an excellent job. He was calm, he was composed, his answers were thoughtful. And, it's very tough being a victim and testifying on the witness stand anyway, let alone having to answer questions to the person who arguably orchestrated the attempted murder on your life. Yeah. So he did a great job, and I thought his testimony was really pivotal in the case.
Is he like a silver bullet when you look at it to this case? I mean, when you mentioned he's the only, live person involved, in terms of a witness that may have experienced something, how important is his testimony?
Yeah, he was a key factor as well when you look at the big picture of helping law enforcement agencies, multiple law enforcement agencies, look into the disappearance of J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan, the kids Lori Vallow murdered in September 2019. And just so everyone knows, today it's been 5 years since their bodies were found on Chad Daybell's property, June 9th, 2020. He had identified JJ's body for the family. I mean, he was a part of this family. He's been traumatized just as much as everyone. And so he basically got Gilbert police to work with Idaho authorities and say, I know about this woman who was my former relative, and now she's just gotten married to this so-called doomsday prophet. And guess what? That man's wife is dead. I've been shot at. These two kids we haven't heard from since the summer. I mean, he was really a key factor in this. And I also want to mention just last Friday, Lori was removed from court. I mean, have you seen something like that? We know this judge has been accommodating, to say the least, but he had enough clearly with how she's, sort of demanded things and had an attitude with him.
Sure. Judge Justin Beresky, excuse me, is an excellent judge, and he has had a very calm demeanor throughout the entire process. Now, what happened was that Judge Beresky was telling Miss Vallow that, she couldn't do something. And, we saw Miss Vallow's full personality on display really for the first time, where she talked back to the judge and she literally told him that he cannot talk to her that way, that he was yelling at her. And Judge Beresky corrected her and said that he wasn't yelling at her. And then, he did admonish her that, she has not been, polite to him, to say the least, throughout the proceedings. Now, he did remove her from the courtroom. However, he did say, you're being removed for the purpose of talking to your attorneys, and I expect you to be back in the courtroom in 15 minutes. Yeah. And importantly, this wasn't done in the presence of the jury. Yeah. But it's also important, though, because it shows the viewers, the people that are actually watching this trial on TV and talking about it now, to really be able to see who this person really is. Like, we're seeing the true Lori Vallow on display, especially in that moment.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. Janelle Art in the chat box said her removal was definitely something we don't see every day in a courtroom, right? There's so many firsts when it comes to this court case. I believe we have some sound from court that day. Can we go ahead and play that for us this morning?
I open the door. Do I get a hearing? We stop trial and I get a hearing on...
Stop. We'll have a very short hearing, okay? If you're going to introduce how you have great character and good character, we're going to have a short hearing on what evidence that they can bring in to rebut that character, which could include being convicted of 4 murders. So
And would you
talk
like...
to your advisory counsel during the break. And
You don't need to yell at me either.
I'm at you, okay?
Yeah, you are, and you do not need to talk to me that way. I'm very courteous.
Take her out.
I'm very courteous to you.
Take her out. No, you have been nothing near courteous to me during the course of these proceedings.
So this is pretty wild because I almost feel like it's a parent-child, you know, you have bad character, you're being mean to me type of, you know, you're talking to me in a negative way. And then the judge just removes her. What leads him? Justin, were you in court when this happened?
No, I was watching it here, but I can tell you this has been building up for a while. This was the boiling point between Judge Bresky and Lori Daybell. She has tried to get him removed from the case 3 times, and it failed again because trial has already started, and Judge Jennifer Green said, you don't really have a legal basis here to remove him. You're saying he's been biased towards you and he's, you know, not granted your motions in the past year or so, but that's not enough to remove him. And Bresky has said, even if this trial were to be delayed by your sickness, I'm going to be the judge on this case. You've dealt with him in the courtroom, I assume. Just how important is it for him to stay? You know, obviously we know he needs to stay calm and have a cool demeanor as a judge. There's an expectation, but for appeal reasons, just to not fall for any sort of bait.
Exactly. And, you know, Judge Bresky has to have control over his courtroom. And for whatever reason, Ms. Vallow in this case is really acting out in a way that she didn't in her previous cases. And I'll give you an example. Starting with her opening statement, you know, there were at least 5 or 6 objections from the prosecutor that, you know, she was, you know, violating the rules of procedure and evidence. And Ms. Vallow, despite the judge sustaining those objections, that is, agreeing with the suggestions or objections, she continued to ask the same questions, to say the same statements. And if a lawyer would have done that in court, they would have been referred to the state bar for, you know, unethical conduct. And so Judge Bresky has, you know, is tired of her behavior. She, you know, is now doing this on a regular basis. If you saw her cross-examination of Brennan and Budro last week, you know, Lori was really trying to get into character evidence, you know, Rule 405. And the reason why that's important is because if she opens that door, it'll allow the prosecution to bring in evidence of the 4 previous homicides, connecting her to every single one. But so, you know, Lori wants to have it both ways. You know, she wants to be able to bring in evidence of her good character and evidence that Melanie, her niece, had something to do with this without opening that door. But she can't do it both ways.
Because once the Pandora's box is open, you can't just choose what comes out. It's like everything is out in the open.
You can't unring the bell.
And Trina K is just waiting for her to do it and get the green light. And that will, I mean, imagine the jury hearing that, you know, she killed her children.
And Trina K has done an excellent job with restraint. I think that she already has enough to bring in the character evidence. But when you're dealing with a pro per, you know, they're giving a little bit more leeway than a lawyer would. So if Lori Vallow was represented by an attorney and an attorney attempted to do what she just did last week, Judge Bresky, excuse me, would automatically allow that character evidence to come in, no doubt.
You know, as just a viewer, obviously you spend a lot of time in court, Josh, and Justin, you as well. But as a viewer, you know, like everybody else out there who's watching this case, when you see a judge stand up, I think you think, oh my gosh, like this is serious business. Like I think his body language, even more than his words, may have said something strong as well. Have you witnessed judges standing up in that manner before?
Well, sure, but not Judge Bresky. You know, he has a reputation for being very calm and very meticulous with his word choice. And you're right, this is the first time that he stood up and really towered over the courtroom and really pronounced his expectations going forward. it's very obvious that he has had enough with Lori Vallow's antics, that he's not going to allow her to have any type of control over the courtroom. And honestly, it was the last straw for him, because he did tell her that if she continues to do this, that he is going to revoke her pro per status. That is, he's going to revoke her right to represent herself, and that he'll then appoint her an attorney to go forward with the rest of the trial.
Okay, then what would happen though if that was revoked? Would that, the public defenders that are advisory council right now, they have said before, when she wasn't pro per, they would need like a year to really prepare a defense. What would happen to this trial?
There would most likely be a mistrial without prejudice, meaning that the prosecution could bring the trial again. But just like you said, it would cost a ton of time and resources to do this, and the case probably wouldn't be resolved for at least another year.
And so today court begins.
It's going to begin at 10:30.
10:30.
Yeah, so just in a little while, and we have Ryan Pillar taking the stand again, and that will be interesting because he knows the case like the back of his hand. Lori Daybell is going to go and do cross-examination of him. She likes to ask a lot about forensics. Sometimes the questions don't land and seem redundant, but she likes to try and poke holes in a law enforcement agency's investigation like she did in the Chandler case. I would ask you, have you seen any improvement in her conduct or skills since the last trial, or would you say, this is the same person, pro per?
I was thinking about that question actually this morning, preparing for this interview, and I'll tell you, so in the Chandler case, Lori Daybell asked some very good questions and did make her points on cross-examination and then got out. This time around, though, you can really start to see her inexperience on full display because she does not know how to impeach a witness. So, for example, when she was cross-examining Brandon Budro last week, Brandon did say a couple times that he didn't remember, and there were some inconsistent statements, but she didn't know how to bring that out to show the jury that these statements are inconsistent and that this should affect his credibility. And I also see that going forward with the case agent. She wants to make her good points, but when he doesn't say something that you want him to say, you have to be able to impeach him with evidence or sometimes.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I know I was late to the, I was tardy to the mystery cam party, I guess you could say, but this is the mystery cam. I'm gonna leave it up here for a quick minute, and then we're going to revisit and throw your guesses into the chat box because we love chatting with so many of you. Good morning to all of you, by the way. Good morning, Philip. I see that one of our Lisa Dinsmore said this morning, we love chatting with you guys and hearing where you're watching from. Of course, we're still chatting this morning with Josh Colesrud, attorney here in the Valley. Good to see you, Josh, again. Thank you so much for sticking around.
Thank you.
And hanging out. And I'll throw the mystery camera up in just a brief moment as well once more. Let's chat about the riots that are taking place in Los Angeles. This is, some of the devastation and fires that were taking place with Waymo vehicles and things like that. What happened? How did this whole thing begin?
So this all began last week when you had individuals throwing rocks at ICE vehicles and Border Patrol vehicles as they were speeding down a roadway. It was significant because usually when that happens, you have local law enforcement that'll step in and arrest the agitators, and that didn't happen here. And because there was really no law enforcement presence, it just expanded and it got worse. And it got worse to the extent where you saw the vehicle fires to the Waymo vehicles. You also saw destruction to different storefronts in that area. And then, you had President Trump do something that hasn't been done in over 60 years, which is take control over the California National Guard without a governor actually inviting a president to do that.
So it started with, trying to, I guess, scoop up a lot of illegal immigrants. And do we know why these people were chosen in particular, or why these particular locations were chosen?
Well, the Trump administration hasn't given details about who they were targeting for arrest. But generally speaking, ICE has been stepping up efforts to do roundups, so to speak, where there are, allegedly, people here illegally, and, they are really taking, a no-holds-barred approach, and, is sometimes getting into trouble by arresting people that aren't here illegally.
Right.
So that is certainly part of the entire equation here.
It is pretty wild. Somebody mentioned on social media yesterday, I think I was on X last night, and somebody said, as a child they watched everything with Rodney King. As a young adult, they watched George Floyd's situation, and now as a new mother, she said she was watching this whole thing unfold. And when you watch a lot of these things take place, what do you think it does to someone's psyche, or what, in terms of being a part of society as an attorney watching these things happen over time?
Well, it's disheartening. You want to see a country pull together and support each other, and be patriotic. And when you see this, it feels like we're coming apart at the seams. That there's no reason that this should be happening with the violence, with the military. And it's very sad to see that. And you don't get a sense of community that you want to see, especially when you're growing up in Los Angeles or anywhere where you see that stuff.
Yeah. And I think you make a good point. Lisa Dinsmore in the chat said, this is so sad. I don't see the point of all of these riots, because you do see them not just in Los Angeles, but you were on the air with us yesterday, and you were chatting about it for quite some time. Now we've seen some of these smaller, I guess not so violent protests, but they're taking place in other cities around the country.
There are, and they're stepping up in numbers, and they're also stepping up in their aggressiveness. I would not be surprised if what's happening in LA spreads to other cities. We also heard reports yesterday that these types of riots are beginning to happen in San Francisco. They suspect that they may happen in Chicago and New York and other cities as well.
Okay. Josh, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you always for coming in and sharing your thoughts on some of these. You're well known in the Valley and around the state, and so we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Josh Colesrud, attorney here in the Valley. We do have a very special guest with us this morning as well. I believe we have the PIO, Dave Folio from Scottsdale Fire. Dave, can you hear me okay? All right, Dave. Dave, can you hear me okay, buddy? We see you. All right, he's going to try to, I think he may or may not be able to hear us. Can we throw up the traffic camera while we're waiting for Dave? I put up the 10-day forecast so we can take a look at our weather while we go ahead and try to fix that, as well as our poll question that you see. This is our poll question this morning. So, how hot is too hot to go hiking? We have a heat advisory in effect across the state of Arizona. We have seen some very hot temperatures around Arizona. If you're in the chat box, where are you watching from and how hot is it in your city? Right now, 90 degrees is too hot for you. Are you in Arizona? I don't know. 110 is too hot for 40% of you. And then 100 degrees is 20% of you. But every single year, we also see that there are so many people who end up hiking. I believe we have some YouTube comments as well that we can throw up to show you some of the thoughts on this. How hot is too hot to go hiking? Here is a quick glance at that poll question on YouTube as well. So 110 degrees is 8% of you. 56% of you say it's 90 degrees. That is still pretty warm, though. I will tell you, 100 degrees, 16%. It depends on how shaded the trail is, and that is the truth at 19% as well. So Philip 120 says, I grew up in Phoenix, and 90 degrees is deadly if you are not prepared. Food, water, protective clothing, hats, sunglasses, and even a long sleeve shirt. 100 degrees or more is an emergency to be hiking. So we have a Girl Quake 416 in the chat box says it's 98 here in Florida right now. All right, let's go ahead and see if Dave is available and can hear us. Dave Folio with Scottsdale Fire. Dave, good morning. I think he's still waiting to see if he can hear us. Gosh, you look good, buddy. You look good. Okay, he's not able to hear us. As we're trying to
Hello.
Oh, yes, Dave, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Captain Dave Folio, City of Scottsdale Fire Department.
There he is.
Check.
Oh, he's checking. So for whatever reason, he can't hear us. But let's go back to the comments. Let's go back to that YouTube poll, and we'll go ahead and read some more of your comments this morning. Because the firefighters, thank you to all the fire crews out there. Many of you watch on Fox 10 Tucson on YouTube as well, but you all respond to a lot of those mountain rescues that we have. So I've worked in the Arizona heat for many years, and it's never fun, but it pays the bills. That's what Jeremy Wingate 4950 says. Get a treadmill if you love walking so much. You'll be inside, and you can watch a YouTube video of a hike on the big screen. Pretend you are hiking there. It's just simple. That's Chuck H4077. We have Isabella now joining us this morning. Good to see you, Isabella. Well, we try to work on Dave. You're even better to have here with us. What is it like? You lived here in the Valley. You're from Seattle.
Yeah.
And in Tucson. What's the heat difference maybe between Phoenix and Tucson?
They say there's about a 10-degree temperature difference. Sometimes it's closer to 5, sometimes it's closer to 10. But after being in Phoenix for 4 years and then going to Tucson, it was definitely cooler in Tucson.
I think so too.
Oh, yeah. And they have a lot more mountains. They don't have as much, concrete. So overall, Tucson is a little bit cooler. I remember I was looking at the temperatures because when I forecasted, I always showed, on the radar and the weather graphic, Phoenix's temperature. And over the summer, Phoenix was 115 and Tucson was only about 105, 110. So.
Oh my goodness. So this is what Linda Monthurst says. She said, you're 3 hours later than us. So it's someone in another part of the world at Quartz and Coal, 70 and raining in Louisville, Kentucky. Wouldn't that be nice if it was 70 and raining here?
Yes.
We love that temperature here and love the cooler weather.
We hardly get it here.
Oh my goodness. And I do have to, what's it like for folks who might be, are hanging with us? What's it like to report when it's outside like that?
There was a couple of times since I was on the weather team, they had me out in the field at peak heat hours during when we're telling the audience, don't go outside unless you have to. And I'm carrying 50-pound equipment. I'm standing there going live at 4, 5, and 6, and I'm getting dizzy. Like I'm sweating in the camera. I'm getting dizzy. I'm lightheaded, and I'm starting to sway, telling them excessive heat warning, don't go outside. To the point where viewers would email in and say, it's so hot, like she shouldn't be outside. So it was crazy.
There were times where, as a reporter, you're standing there in the heat and you're in a live truck and you're standing next to the AC unit coming out of the car, and my face is standing there.
Yeah.
And I remember my heels melting into the asphalt.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because we have seen last year, we saw during the summer 3 straight days of 119. And that's extremely hot.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like the National Weather Service is saying, don't be outside, don't be doing these things. And here the reporters are running around.
Okay. All right. Let's go right to this video. I know you love crazy videos as much as I do, and viral videos. And all of you in the chat box, have you seen this? This zebra is rescued. This is the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. So this guy's been on the loose for like a week.
Yeah.
Do you remember we were talking about this last week? It
I
was the
do.
initial escape for him. Apparently he's someone's pet.
It almost sounded like a joke. It didn't sound real.
So I have a trivia question for you, and for those of you in the chat box: is a zebra black with white stripes or white with black stripes? We found the answer the other day from the zoo. What do you think?
I think they're white with black stripes.
They're actually, I'm going to see if anybody comes in. You could or could not be right. Jens Wall says flying zebra. Linda Monterth, good morning to you. She said a lot of pink on Fox 10 today. And we said the same thing when we saw each other.
Did.
We thought, oh my goodness, there's a lot of pink here.
Unplanned, always matching.
Dave Bruson says Phoenix is a heat island. And I totally agree with you on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Zebras are mean, Jens Wall says. I'm not sure if she's encountered one or not.
Jen, I want to hear your experience.
I know.
What
Share your
happened?
story. Okay, Lisa Dinsmore came in with an answer, and you are correct. They are black with white stripes.
Phew.
Black with white stripes. I know, my goodness. But what a crazy ordeal. So the zebra finally captured. They had to use this hoisting system to capture him or her, and finally safe once again. But this was the original video we brought you last week when the zebra was on the loose.
Can you imagine
It
if
was
you were
so
just driving home in
crazy.
your neighborhood and then you see a zebra as you're pulling into your driveway?
Oh my goodness, it is wild. Okay, let me go ahead and show you the mystery cam, because we are going to give you the answer when we come back after a quick break. Do you have an answer? What are your thoughts? You have a guess?
I think it's the bridge between Washington and Oregon.
Oh, that's actually a good one. That's a beautiful part of the country.
Yes.
We do have a couple of other guesses as well. B. Miguel said South Carolina. Angela Brockelman, she has a guess as well. And we'll read off some more of your guesses when we come back here in just a few moments. But again, this is your mystery camera. And thank y'all for joining us. Post your guesses in our chat box. We love hearing from so many of you this morning. Good morning. And let us know if you're new, because we'd love to hear from where you're watching from at this hour as well. Victory Camera this morning on a Monday. We hope you had a great weekend. Let me read out some of your comments here. We have some good ones. A lot of you are chiming in on this one. Yeah. Linda Montrose says New York. Louis Gonzalez says Mississippi. What are you seeing, Isabella?
I'm seeing Husky Mom's guessing Oregon, Sammy G, Washington, 2 Mississippis, both Louis and Ocean Girl. Yeah. A lot all over the place.
So
but
really good guesses.
A lot of PNW ones. I think the evergreen trees in the water.
Northwest. I think you're right.
I hope so.
I'm going to go Washington State.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to throw your camera up. Do you want to do the honors?
I have the mystery cam.
Okay.
All right. Oh.
Tacoma, Washington.
Tacoma, Washington.
Yes. Okay, so Sammy G, you had Washington. That was
were
great.
right too.
Yes, I was, which is rare. Maybe
beautiful.
my kids are watching. Mom was right. Okay, we're going to talk about a couple of more talkers, some big stories here. And then we have a really interesting interview with TMZ about the Diddy case, which of course is also continuing in New York. Let's go right to this first piece of video here this morning. This was something you do not see every day. So a car takes out a staircase. This is at an apartment building. It happened near 32nd Street at McDowell. Is this crazy?
Oh my gosh, the whole staircase is right there.
Let's say you happen to be on the staircase or we're about to walk up or walk down, and how fast something like this happens.
Oh, that's really scary. And also for the people on the second level, what if they were planning on heading out and now they can't get downstairs because the stairs are gone?
Oh my goodness, this is so crazy. So what happened was that staircase at 32nd Street in McDowell at this apartment complex, came tumbling down. It was on, you can see it now, it's right on top of this vehicle right here. And there was a tow truck that was called in, and they're trying to haul the whole thing away. The driver was at the hospital, but of course, as a precaution, we don't know what caused the driver to lose control. Let's hope it wasn't like some sort of health scare or health emergency.
Yeah. No, I hope everyone involved is okay.
Yeah, that's pretty scary though. But if you imagine this, if you live on the second floor, you can't get down. And if you needed to get up there, you're not heading up anytime soon unless they pull in a ladder, I guess, or something like that. But you have to imagine they probably have to check the stability of that foundation of the second level.
I'm just thinking of the person who lives on the second level. They're coming back home from work and they plan to walk up the stairs as they do every day.
Yes.
And their stairs are gone. Can you imagine?
Oh my goodness, so crazy. All right, let's go to the next piece of video that we have for you. Severe thunderstorm.
Oh, wow.
Have you seen this video, Isabella?
I haven't.
I'm
seeing it for the first time now.
It is so crazy. Look at all of this crazy wind that has taken over this town and those rooftops. Have you ever experienced anything like this in the Pacific Northwest? We do see some pretty crazy storms up that way.
You know, we do see a lot of rain, but I would say not as hectic as this. Just the way that the trees are moving so much. No, I mean, it rains a lot in Seattle, but I don't think I've experienced rain that heavy and severe. That looks like a tree could fall over and hit that house at any second.
There are some crazy storms. If you're watching this morning and maybe you're down in the South, you've probably experienced things like this. This is out of Alabama, this video. When there was one time we were flying into Alabama, we were going to go to the University of Alabama football game.
Nice.
And we had to jump on a smaller plane out of Charlotte, and we're heading in. And two things that were very descriptive of the Southeast. All of you know that when you roll on into Alabama, the first thing they say, well, I guess in the West we say hi or hello, or if welcome, bienvenidos if you know Spanish. But in the Southeast in Alabama, they just say roll tide.
Oh, there you
go. Like you walked up on the plane and everybody was like, roll tide. Roll tide. Everybody was saying it. And so, that was the first thing. The second one was the fact that you saw storms like this. We were on the plane and our plane was going crazy. And we have some of you who are watching here in Texas. It says, Mr. Pavoline said, in Texas, I heard DVD size hail.
Oh my word. That's intense.
And all the young people are like, what is a DVD? Lil Philosophy says, I hope they don't have to get groceries. And he's talking about the video we just showed you a moment ago with those people who live on the second level. It has been absolutely crazy. Ocean Girl 505 says, that looks like tornado weather. Jen's Wall says Michigan has those lateral winds, flat, low tornadoes is what it is. Flattened trees and houses. When you're a meteorologist, Isabella.
Almost, yeah.
Yes, you are. When you go through meteorology school and you're learning about these different types of storms, what kind of blows your mind about maybe those tornadoes and the strong winds maybe that Jen's Wall is talking about?
What really blows my mind is how instant they can come up, especially things like tornadoes. You know, it could be a beautiful day, not a lot of clouds in the sky, and then suddenly there's a tornado popping up on the radar. So that weather, it's the meteorologists over there especially do such a good job of keeping the public safe because, again, you could look outside, it's clear sunny day, sky, it looks nice, and then all of a sudden the tornado comes up on the radar.
Oh, my goodness.
So, you know, it is intense.
Yeah.
I'm thankful I've only had to forecast just very hot weather
Right?
and a couple of monsoon storms, but tornadoes,
They're
that
wild.
stuff, unpredictable and very damaging.
Thank you for hanging with me this
Thank you
morning.
for
We
having me.
appreciate it. I know everybody in the chat's like, hello, Isabella. They love it.
Hi.
All right, we are going to chat this morning with TMZ. They're talking about the Diddy trial, and Eric Wilson joins us now from Los Angeles with more on this and a whole lot of other stories that they're covering for you this morning. Eric, can you hear us okay? Good morning. Okay, let's see. We're going to try the Zoom. Okay, I'm trying to look for the Zoom on this here. Does anyone? Oh, hold on one second. Eric, you got us okay? Zoom box. Eric, he's trying to stay cool. Okay, we're going to try to figure that out coming up in a quick moment because, okay, all right. Christina, come on in. How are you? This is what we call the hot walk. I'm going to go ahead and throw this up with the two-shot. This is the beauty of course, YouTube, is that it's... Hi, it's so good to see you.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I am
Congratulations
awesome.
on all your
Is this
success.
tacky?
Nope,
Does this
you're
work?
fine.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Let's
you.
let's give you a little background. We've known each other for many, many years.
I think you were an intern at the first TV station in Phoenix I worked at.
Oh, wait, you're right. Was it
Yeah.
at 15?
Yeah, I didn't know whether we could say
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
but
we can say that.
Okay.
Yeah. Congratulations on
Thank
all your
you.
success.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. If you can give people a little bit of background on your career, I guess, in news.
Sure. Thank you
first.
for asking. Yeah, I've spent more than 20 years reporting in Phoenix for different commercial and public media, TV and radio stations, and I spent the last 9 years covering City Hall for KJZZ, which is the public radio station here in Phoenix.
And so, what has your time in the news business maybe helped you with doing something like becoming an author?
Well, I thought it would be a lot easier than it was because we write every day.
Yeah,
right?
we do. Yeah, but
And
we do a different type of writing, though,
Well,
right?
you're smarter than me because I was like, oh, I write every day, so how hard can it be to write a book?
Yeah.
And it is a completely different way. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, walk us through the process of becoming an author. How does that? I'm sure a lot of people out there are thinking, I have a story to tell. Is it difficult?
I will tell you that I think the publishing industry makes local TV news look like a breeze. It is brutal. It is brutal. I will also say that I did not approach it the right way at all because unlike you, I didn't make the connection that it's a completely different way of writing. I one day said, I'm going to write a book. And then 15 years later, voila, my first book was published.
Yeah.
So it was a long journey and it wasn't the smartest way to go, but a lot of people want to write. And what I've discovered is that the only way that you get published is if you finish the book and you don't give up.
Yeah. What is your book about? The story that wouldn't die.
So my story, this is the sequel to Off the Air, which can be read as a standalone. The Story That Wouldn't Die features Phoenix TV reporter Jolene Garcia. She's the main character.
Is it all fiction based, or are there some parts of it that are like historical fiction or based on?
It's all fiction.
Okay.
It is a murder mystery fiction. When a beloved small business owner dies, Jolene is not convinced it was an accident. So he had been asking questions about who gets the lucrative deals at City Hall, and they're questions that powerful people do not want answered.
Yeah.
So Jolene goes digging, and the deeper she digs, the more suspicious things she discovers, and someone is out to kill her story and maybe her.
There are some times, and I think like maybe your real life as a journalist, we become cynical, and we become wanting to
No.
ask, oh no, really? No. But you start asking yourself, did that really happen? Or is that person involved in that case? Or maybe we need to dig a little deeper into that. You know, so it does make you, it gives you, I can see how the creative juices start to flow.
Absolutely, because you meet so many people and you experience so many different situations that there are just these great scenes and characters. And this book, while it is fiction, and certainly some of the characters are rooted in people I've met over the past 20 years. And again, while it is fiction, I will say that there's one scene that opens that actually happened in Phoenix.
Yeah.
It was the book opens with Jolene and her reporter being sent to City Hall to cover the mayor stuck in an elevator.
Oh, you're right. That did happen.
It was about 8 or 9 years ago.
What mayor was it? You're like, do I have to say?
No, I will say only to point out that it's not him. So the mayor at the time was Greg Stanton.
Yes.
But my mayor is Ace Logan. My mayor is not him.
This is completely fictional.
But think about that. Like,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, that sort of stuck in my head, that
Yeah.
incident, and I thought, that would make a great scene. And
Yeah.
so I put it in. I just never imagined that I would be someday riding those elevators
Yeah.
when my book came out. So
You know what's interesting is that I feel like when we start out in this business, it's like you think you're going to, this is the only path, but then you branch out and you find other things. Take us back to the beginning. Like, where are you from? And did you always want to be a journalist?
I did. But I actually wanted to be an author first. So, you know, when you're little and then like some annoying adult's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And
Yes.
you're like, I'm just a kid, right?
I have no idea. And then you're 23 and they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? You're like, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm trying to figure that out.
Well, I was always like a book lover and I love to read and I love to write. And so when I was asked that as a child, I said author, but I never knew any authors, right?
Yeah.
And I never knew anybody who like chose that path to go. But I loved reading and writing, and that included, you know, newspapers and magazines and
Yeah.
watching the news and listening to the news. So I think that's what put me on the journalism
And
path.
then where did you go to school? College?
I went to a small school in central Illinois called Bradley University. And I actually made my character, Jolene, from the Midwest. I made her from Omaha as a nod to a good friend of mine. But
Yeah.
I made her from the Midwest because I wanted to call on my own feelings about when I moved to Phoenix and
Yeah.
how I felt like such a fish out of water.
Tell us more about that. Why? Why did you? I mean, speaking of fish out of water, we are in the desert. We don't have much water, first of all.
That's one reason. But I mean, I moved from the Midwest during the summer, not the smartest time, right?
Yeah.
But I moved to take a job at Channel 15 where we first met. And when I went in there were people who had a lot more experience than me, who just seemed so sophisticated, like a lot of people from Southern California. You know how they are, right?
Yes.
Like, and not in a negative way, but like
We're going to
coming-
take a quick break. Hold on. We're
Oh,
going
of
to come
course.
back with more Christina Estes in just a quick moment. We're going to take a quick break. You're an author. We're going to talk about your book in a quick moment again and tell people where they can find it. Worked at Channel 15, grew up in Illinois. How many steps did it take you to get here? Because a lot of times we start in smaller markets.
Right. Yeah. 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one was a part-time job for a while, and then it was my first full-time, and then my second full-time, and then here. So yeah.
Is there a storyline in your career as a journalist that sticks out when you're thinking, oh wow, like I love this story, or that was a heartbreaking story, or that's something where I really learned something, or?
You know, this book, The Story That Wouldn't Die, is actually inspired by some of my reporting, because I spent the past 9 years covering City Hall, and so I attended countless council meetings and community meetings, and I learned how city operations work, like from how we get our water to how our trash is picked up to how and where things are built.
And that's where you're working now.
Yeah. So the main story thread is about development and displacement, and the reporter is digging into that. And it's all centered at City Hall, which is mildly uncomfortable because I recently took a job as the communications director for the vice mayor.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, we got to wrap, but I want to make sure that we get your book out and the info and how we can find it.
Yeah, thank you for asking. It's available wherever books are sold.
Okay. All right, Christina, so great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it,
Yeah,
Celeste.
congratulations
Thank you.
on all your success. All right, we're going to try to go back to our Zoom with TMZ. Eric, can you hear us okay?
I can. Hello. Good morning.
Oh, my goodness. It's like music to my ears, my friend. We've had a bit of a challenge with our Zoom this morning, but you should see all the people behind the scenes working on getting your handsome face and your great voice on YouTube this morning. So thank you so much for joining us. You are live in Los Angeles. Is that correct?
I am. Yeah, we're here at the TMZ studios.
Okay. All right. Great, buddy. Good to see you. I usually am like chatting with Branson Quirk or Jackson High. So it's good to see your face. Where are you from originally?
Thank you. Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Okay. So let's I know you're in LA, but you also have reporters that are also in New York. They're everywhere. And you guys do you have a journalist in the courtroom and the Diddy trial?
Yeah, we have a couple that are sitting in. We have some in the main room, and then we have some in the overflow room as well.
Okay. All right. Great. And can you give us an update? What are they seeing or hearing this morning, since they're 3 hours ahead there?
Yeah. So it's day 19 in the Diddy trial, and a lot has been going on in the last few weeks that have kind of led up to what will be a pretty crazy 2 days here. One is Brianna Bongelin, who is one of Cassie's friends, was on the stand last week, and she's still on the stand this week. And she discusses a moment where she alleges that Diddy held her over a 16, 17-story balcony and threatened her while Cassie was in the apartment. So that's been a lot of testimony this week. But Cassie alleged in her earlier testimony that she was there to witness this moment. And then Brianna, in her testimony, kind of contradicted that and said that Cassie wasn't there, and that Cassie actually sent a text to someone that worked for Diddy and said she just found out some crazy bleep, which also alluded to the fact that she didn't actually see this moment. So because of the contradictory testimony, Diddy is asking for his second mistrial of the trial because of what they've heard in the testimony here.
So what are your thoughts? You know, you guys always get together, and you guys have obviously a TMZ show. It airs right here on Fox, and you guys always have the greatest details and, digging into whatever situations are happening on a day-to-day basis there when it comes to this case and others. Anything surprise you when it comes to this case, or what's the most surprising part of this trial thus far for you?
Well, I think a lot of the charges have kind of been a slow burn. There were some questions early on if the RICO thing would stick. And I think they're slowly building a case where, they're showing some racketeer type moves that Diddy allegedly made. And they're really adding to these charges that a lot of people thought were frivolous at first, but you can really kind of see the prosecution's case being built over time. And this trial, I mean, the testimony is going to go until at least the 4th of July week. So we still have a lot of time to uncover things that people think are missing from what's being alleged against Diddy right now.
Do you think this trial, and in your opinion, just hearing some of the testimony and everything, you think he's going to continue to ask for a mistrial, but what are the chances?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously, I'm surprised. I would be shocked if we didn't have a couple more mistrial requests through the end of the trial. But yeah, he's going to do everything he can to, obviously get these charges dropped. The first mistrial request he asked was surrounding Kid Cudi's fingerprints that were found on Kid Cudi's car and on his home during that alleged Molotov cocktail that was thrown into his Porsche. And there was some questions surrounding that, and that was the first request for a mistrial. And now this contradictory testimony is another request. So, I mean, they're going to seize any moment they can to jump in and ask for a mistrial. And I'm sure once everything's said and done, an appeal won't be far behind either.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have been watching the case so closely. You know, Christine Carroll, she says, I agree, Diddy needs to be locked up. People have some pretty strong opinions when it comes to this case. That is for sure. Let's go ahead and chat, if we can, for a quick moment, Eric, about the Tony Awards.
Okay, yeah, that's much more my speed. Diddy, it's been a long Diddy trial. I'm excited to talk about something a little more fun. Yeah, it was a big night at the Tonys last night. Who
came out the big winner?
So I think Sunset Boulevard was really the big winner. There was a lot of controversy surrounding Audra McDonald, who was nominated for Gypsy, who was killer. She was amazing. She's, you know, one of the all-time goats of Broadway, obviously. And of course, there was that drama surrounding her and Patti LuPone going into the awards ceremony. But really, all that kind of fell to the wayside once Nicole got on stage and belted out her rendition of As If We Never Said Goodbye from Sunset Boulevard. And then she later went on to win the Tony for Best Actress as well.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast last week. They talked about how it has been like the most dynamic year, the year of 2024 into 25 for Broadway, and how people have just been flocking to these Broadway shows. And they're new shows. They're not like remakes of one that we saw of like Les Miserables or remake of Cats or something that we saw decades ago. You know, if I could ask you just one last question, what is your favorite show? Since the Tonys is more your speed, my friend, what's your favorite
Oh,
show?
man, you know, I not to be cliche, but that Hamilton medley they did last night was really great. I'm a big Hamilton guy. But Sunset Boulevard, I mean, the original, this kind of reinterpretation of the original is really great as well. So I wouldn't kick that out of bed. Yeah, there's been a lot of great shows. I mean, Cola Scola in his play that also won, and he also won for I'm blanking on the name. The one about Mary Todd. Is it Mary Todd? Maybe we call it Mary Todd. But about Mary Todd Lincoln, I mean, that's just a unique tour de force from a really, really funny individual. So that's another example of kind of the unique shows that have been put on this year.
Yeah. Hey, Eric, I hope we get more of you, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to come back anytime. Nice meeting you guys.
Yeah, we can talk Tonys anytime you want,
yeah,
all
for
day
sure.
long, and anything else. Have a great day. We appreciate you
You too.
hanging with us as we got this whole Zoom thing figured out.
Yeah, no problem.
All right,
Thank
have
you.
a great day. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, we are bringing in Desiree Flew-Ellen now. Good morning, Desiree. Welcome back. Yeah, good to see you.
I'm like, you leave for 4 months and there's new studios that are popping up everywhere.
Yeah,
this is
such
so
is
awesome.
I know, and you remember 4 months ago, Ron and I were working out of like this small little cubby hole of a closet.
We called it the little closet by the makeup room.
Yeah, and it was like you could hear things, and it was hot, and it was like, and then I don't know. This is amazing. One of these,
incredible.
I'll do a behind the scenes, and I'll put it on Instagram for all of you,
should.
because it's like now we have all these people behind the scenes, and it's really an amazing process. But welcome back to you.
Thank you.
4 months.
Yeah.
And
Felt like forever
congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, sometimes that forever is a gift, right?
Oh, yeah,
because
absolutely.
like soaking in all that baby time and family time and being able to be mom. I believe we have some photographs of your little one.
Yeah.
And introduce us to
Well,
to
that's
her.
our newest addition. That is baby Demi. She was born January 30th. And that day actually started right here at Fox 10. So it was a Thursday. I came into work and I looked at Mel, our executive producer. I go, Mel, I think I might be having contractions today. I don't know if, I should go out in the field. Let me stay in. Lo and behold, I was having contractions all day here at work. And she was born that night. She was here by 11 p.m. That Thursday.
And
so
it's such a blessing, like number 4, you know?
Yeah. And, she holds a special place in our heart because I told you earlier, like she was not planned for, by us, by God. Yes.
She had, she was already planned.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing because we just love her so much. Everyone's addicted to her. And she's such a good baby. She's so happy. And her siblings, you can see the smiles on the girls' faces there. They just love her. They love her.
That's so great. What a gift, you know? What was the best part of being home with the kiddos?
Just being able to be present, right? Our job, we're always on, right? We're
Yeah.
on TV, we're on stream, we are everywhere.
Yeah.
So, and I had planned to document our entire journey through my
Yeah.
maternity leave. And I just couldn't. I just looked at her and I said, I just want to be here with you in the moment. And that's what we did. And that felt really good to live
Yeah.
like that for, a couple months.
I think we come to work and we have this job at work, and then we go home and we're like, you know what? I just want to soak it in. You know, my kids are a little bit older, but they're in our teenage years, and come on in, Ty. Come on in, brother. He's going to sit down here with us as well.
I mean, but even so, it's like whatever phase they're in, you want to soak that in. It goes fast.
It does go very, very fast. And you just want to, you look at them and you're like, oh my gosh, I love the human that you are. Until you talk back to me. And then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, do you see the face on Dream right there? She's a three-nager, okay, with the attitude going already. So some of that, I'm like, I could do without.
You know, it's like trying to harness all of that passion. Like if we could harness the passion in a bottle, in like a mason jar, and like sell it. You know what I mean? Like
their passion, their energy.
If you could pick it up on the shelf at Safeway, like that would be amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, you hear so much when people say, kids make life difficult. And it's a challenge, right? But it is the greatest thing. Like seeing how excited they are for their firsts,
everything.
And being able to smell the baby smell again, I'll take it. I love
there was something that that a mom once told me, and I always will remember this, and it was, well, two pieces of information. One at my first baby shower, and she says, never forget your first baby. And she's talking about my husband.
Oh,
she said that will. She's like, if you never forget about your first baby, she said, you will be golden. Two, she said, motherhood is the most difficult job you will ever love. And I thought, you know what? That is absolutely right. Parenting is so hard. So as we kind of gear up into Father's Day too, dads are so important to our family.
A parent doesn't get a moment off. Right?
No,
we're always on. We're always wondering if they're okay or thinking about what they need.
Or you're in the shower and they're yelling for you, or you're in the bathroom and they're
in
yelling
the bathroom,
for you.
They're in there with you. It's a party.
Ty, welcome, Ty.
Good morning, you guys.
Okay, so what are you coming up, you and Anita? What do you guys have?
We've got a lot going on, you guys. So we did that story earlier this morning. We were talking about how much money you kind of need because Arizona.
Sorry, you have 10 seconds.
Oh, a lot of fun stuff. We'll see you
at 11. A lot of money to live in Arizona.
Well, no, you have about 4 seconds now.
All right, cool. See you at 11.
All right, Ty and Anita coming up.
And everyone, it is Monday, June 9th already,
Hope you're having a great day. Hope you had a great weekend.
Yeah.
Fox 10 Talks with Ty and Anita, and Melissa's joining us, Kowalski, with the 100 Club. Unfortunately, a very tragic weekend, very serious topic that we're talking about. So last week, we had an Apache Junction police officer, Officer Facio, who was shot in the line of duty and has been in the hospital, was in the hospital through the weekend. And over the weekend, his family made the very difficult decision to take him off life support. And this is where community support, it plays a huge role, including the 100 Club.
So for people, like, let's start at the very beginning, Melissa, if you don't mind, and just kind of tell us what the 100 Club is and how you guys are associated here in the Valley with law enforcement.
Yes, the 100 Club of Arizona supports police and fire throughout the entire state, and we do that in a critical incident, rather if there's an injury or a loss or life-altering situation. And we also support in purchasing equipment for departments, and our largest program now is our mental health support for first responders as well.
Can we talk a little bit about that? Because, I mean, we were just talking earlier, and I think when the shooting first came out, Officer Facio worked with the Phoenix Police Department before he moved over to Apache Junction. And what I thought was really interesting is that the City of Phoenix Police Department said that any of those officers that knew him, worked with him, or maybe just needed time could have that. And I thought that was really interesting because we kind of sometimes forget about the mental health aspect of what a horribly dangerous job this is day in, day out. We always say sometimes on the news, and I know Anita and I both change the script sometimes when we say something about a routine traffic stop. Because there's no such thing as a routine traffic stop because you don't know what you're walking into. But that mental health aspect, I think, is really important.
Losing a friend and colleague.
It's very challenging, not only for Officer Facio's family of how a difficult situation this is, but the entire department. Public safety is a very small community. It's a family. And these are your brothers and sisters that you're working with, and not only with the Apache Junction Police Department, which is a smaller department, so everyone knew one another. And Officer Facio was incredibly loved by the entire department, but as you mentioned, he also worked for the City of Phoenix with Phoenix Police Department, and being able to have that other set of coworkers and being able to know that there's so many resources out there for first responders, not only through their department, but also through the 100 Club as well.
So let's talk about kind of all right, sorry about that. I'm kidding.
Try hitting graphics one.
That's not popping up.
Okay.
That's the wrong one. Let's try
So
this.
you had shared with us some images, and there we go. And so tell us a little bit about what this is.
Yeah, so what you're looking at is our state memorial that honors all of our first responder police officers throughout the state. Each May, we'll do a way to honor all of those that we lose in the line of duty. And the 100 Club is there not only for Officer Facio's family, but all those police and fire that we lose throughout the state, not only in that immediate financial assistance, but we'll continue to support them in a variety of different activities.
So let's talk a little bit about the 100 Club if people are not familiar with it, when it started, how many officers you've been able to help, and how does it work? Do you connect with the family? Does the department connect you with the family?
Yes, all the above. At the 100 Club, we've been around since 1968. And on an annual basis, we support about 2,000 first responders throughout the state in a variety of different ways. So if those are those killed in the line of duty, which we lost 6 last year, with police and fire, with those injured, we're supporting about 300 first responders each year. And the 100 Club is there not only for those injuries and losses, but also maybe a critical incident, being able to help with Officer Facio's family of travel expenses, being able to provide immediate financial assistance, and anything else throughout their journey, whether if that's through counseling or other support that we can provide.
And you kind of mentioned it, but you guys are really kind of like a lifeline. You kind of swoop in there at these families' worst times and really kind of help facilitate a lot of these different aspects of kind of what happens next in an unfortunate situation like this.
Yes, we have very strong ties with all of the departments throughout the state, and so working very closely with Apache Junction Police Department, being able to bring in resources, Phoenix Police Department as well, since he worked there, being able to work very closely with them and get in touch with the right people at the right times and very quickly.
We have comments coming in from our viewers. Dave, I hope I say his name right, Brudau says, my heart goes out to the mourning loved ones. And then then Christine Carroll is saying, this is so terrible. I will donate and tie a blue ribbon on our house. Officers, please be safe. And this is so tragic. How do people donate? How can they make a difference and help you guys help the family members and the officers and firefighters?
A great way is going to our website at 100club.org and being able to make a donation. We are a qualifying tax charitable organization, so you can get dollar for dollar back on your taxes as well. And then we work with departments and those individuals to get those funds out in those variety of programs.
Can you talk about, you mentioned that you guys started back in the late 60s, but how did this get started?
Actually, the 100 Club started in Detroit in 1952.
So let me interrupt you real quick.
Yeah.
Are there different 100 Club chapters across the country?
Yes.
Okay.
But all connected, or
they're all separate. So there's about 150 100 Clubs across the nation.
Oh,
wow. And we're all kind of separate. We are very fortunate due to the community support that we are the largest in the nation.
Oh, wow.
With that. So.
And that's just from the support here of Arizonans.
Yes.
So what does that kind of tell you about Arizona and what they think of the men and women in blue every day?
There is so much support for our public safety members. It's really, really inspiring. Some great ways to get involved too is our license plate. That's a really low cost way of being able to really say thank you to first responders, being able to have that thin red and blue plate on your car, and 17 of those $25 each year goes back to the 100 Club, so it's a great way.
Do you hold fundraisers throughout the year?
We do. We have fundraisers. We have a gala each year, golf tournament, our license plate, and reach out to different community members to be able to support Officer Facio's family and others throughout the year.
We've both interviewed, unfortunately covered, and interviewed the family members directly affected, whether it's spouses, whether it's children of fallen officers and firefighters. And one of the things that they always talk about is how important the support is. From the community, they want to see those blue ribbons, but from organizations like yours, it's not just the money, but it's knowing that if they needed to make a phone call, you're going to connect them with someone who's either been through the same process, who grieved the same way in the same manner, or if it is that financial situation.
Yes, or being very strategic about that, us being able to pay for counseling, being able to connect them with someone who's gone through a similar situation, paying for sports for kids, paying for college or other resources with that, putting on a retreat each year for those who have lost a spouse in the line of duty, being able to really support them in a variety of different ways, not just financially.
And what I think is so interesting too is that you guys just don't kind of swoop in at the very beginning, but this is kind of like a lifelong
yes,
journey
absolutely.
with this family, because
Yes,
you are
yes.
always there to help support in any way that they need.
We are. We will continue. This is just an introduction into our family, and we will continue to support them throughout.
I don't know if you can, and if you don't have to say any names if you don't want to, but maybe you could kind of share a story, one maybe that sticks in your mind of kind of what you guys have been able to do and how that help continues.
You know, one family I'm thinking of, there was two young boys whose dad unfortunately was killed in the line of duty, and we provided that immediate financial support. But us being able to support, you know, they were struggling in school, they were getting behind on their grades, and us being able to provide tutoring support, us being able to pay for jiu-jitsu, really being able to get them surrounded by the community.
Offer a little bit of, I don't want to use the word normalcy, but that's kind of what comes to mind. So
yes.
if both parents had been there, this would have been their routine, and you're allowing them to feel a little bit of that.
Well, you're also adding a community too. You know, people part of that team, trusted adults that are part of being able to help with that parenting process and being able to provide support to these children.
I know there are other organizations that offer the blue ribbons. Perhaps you can help though, because Husky Mom is asking, where can I get a supporting blue ribbon? Is that something you know about?
You know, I believe that if you go to another organization, COPS, Concerns of Police Officer Survivors, you can go there.
Thank you.
We've got some ribbons, as well as I'm sure too with Apache Junction Police Department, they can be able to get some ribbons where those funds are going directly back to support police and throughout Arizona.
Now, I know Anita said that you guys do these fundraisers quite often. Do you have anything kind of coming up that maybe folks at home might want to know about and they can help support you guys?
You know, we are gearing up for our Tower Challenge. Each year we do a Tower Challenge to honor 9/11 each year, and so that will be at the Desert Diamond Arena.
Okay.
So that will be coming up in September. So that's a great way. There's so many police officers and firefighters dressed in their gear of providing support to.
It's pretty incredible to see,
It really
too.
is. It really is. And so that's a great way to not only get involved in our community, but be able to provide support to the 100 Club.
How did you get involved in 100 Club? I know oftentimes there is a personal story.
My husband is a firefighter in the East Valley and has been for the last 14 years. And so we're a very proud public safety family. We have 3 small kids, and I've always worked in the nonprofit sector, and being able to connect not only my professional career, but also with my family ties has just been a dream.
So you know that anxiety then. You
Yes.
completely understand what every
Yes.
spouse and family member goes through every time there's a call.
Yes, yeah. And you know, there's so many challenges that come with being a public safety family, but there's also some great gifts with that as well. And so being able to take those to be able to assist other families is really such a gift.
You know, it is kind of crazy to think about. There's not a lot of jobs where you go to and you don't know if you're coming home. And unfortunately, I think a lot of us, unfortunately, kind of take law enforcement families for granted when we think about these people literally are taking their lives in their hands every single day because they don't know what kind of call they're going to go out on, be it a fire, a dangerous fire, or any of these random 911 calls that they're going out to.
Yeah. You know, even just looking at Apache Junction Police Department, I don't think, you know, we never want to predict where it's going to happen, but I don't think any of us would have predicted that it would be happening in Apache Junction. And their department is so strong, and, you know, they've created a wellness program and wellness resources for their first responder, or for their public safety members in the last couple years, and that didn't exist before. And so thankful that that's there to be able to support not only the family at a greater level, but then also their department.
Just on a personal note, what is it like for you to be part of this organization that really does give back when these families are really kind of at their lowest? It must be kind of very rewarding for you.
Oh,
to be
it's
able
incredibly rewarding. You know, just for example, the 100 Club provided financial assistance for Officer Fazio last week, and we were also dropping off lunch and some other mental health modalities for the department, and our intent was to pay for it. And then reaching out to donors of Can and Went said, you know, we want to actually pay for lunch.
Wow.
And
that lunch goes such a long way.
Yes.
Because when you're in the midst of that crisis, most people don't stop to think, I need to fuel, I need to eat, I need to take care of myself so that I can help everyone else. And you bring that sandwich, and it speaks volumes.
Yes.
A little.
Yeah.
We've got about 20 seconds left. I want to kind of recap one more time. Website where folks can go to get more information.
100club.org is a great spot. And being able to support not only the Apache Junction Police Department,
I forgot to turn your mic on. Start again. Start
That's
again.
okay. I don't really need to talk. I'll just yell. There's a new study out. I think you have the article, or do I have the article?
I gave it to you. I hope you picked it up off your
didn't.
desk.
I didn't
Oh
pick it
no.
up.
Okay, I think I remember it.
Okay.
But there was a company that came out
Okay.
called Smart Asset. Maybe I
Okay.
can Google it real
Look at
quick while we're
you.
doing
Okay.
this. I'm doing this off the top of my head, so let's see how good I am at
Well,
recalling.
they ranked all the states
Yes.
as to how affordable they are. And I think that pre-COVID, is my opinion, there were all these conceptions or beliefs that Phoenix was reasonably affordable or cheap to live in. And I will say, I think that the housing market especially was affordable. You could get a lot of house for not a lot of money compared to other cities, other states.
But they were kind of basically saying, like, how much money do you need to live comfortably? Which means being able to pay your rent, have discretionary income or discretionary spending money to do what you want
And
with.
retirement, and save for
and
retirement.
save for retirement. And they were saying that Arizona is not as cheap as people may think.
No.
They said you needed over $100,000 a year
A
as a
person.
single
This is a person.
to be able to live comfortably here in Arizona, which kind of piqued our interest, thinking, yikes, $100,000 is a lot of money.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's a good salary. So we brought an expert in.
We brought an expert in to break this all down for us this morning. This is
At
Greg.
least the housing market.
Yes. Yeah.
Greg.
Greg.
Yes.
Good
Hi.
morning. You
Hello.
are with Two Brothers
Realty.
Realty.
Yep, Two Brothers Realty.
And so let's talk about this because you kind of have your finger on the pulse when it comes to real estate across the valley, especially. What are we kind of seeing?
Yeah, the market has changed a lot, like you were saying. In the early 2015, 16, 17, it was kind of a down market. Houses were a lot more affordable. And then the craziness of COVID took place.
And it feels like everyone flocked here from
They did.
other states.
Yeah, I think, it seemed we had more relaxed situations going on
Correct.
compared to other
Yeah.
places. So that kind of sparked the Airbnb boom, especially in like places like Scottsdale and
They're
other places.
everywhere in my neighborhood.
Yeah, and
Everywhere.
those are a good portion of the houses, especially in South Scottsdale near the main hub where people come in. A lot of those houses were Airbnbs, and now they're up for sale. So you're kind of seeing.
Why are they selling the Airbnbs?
That's a good question. I think that they probably bought those houses thinking they were going to make
Buku
100
dollars,
yeah, 100
yeah.
grand a year just by having a house and not doing any effort into it. And now they're starting to see that there's more Airbnbs. There's so many of them. The competition is high. And when they bought, the house was already expensive. They might have gotten a lower interest rate, but now they're not seeing that return being as well. So they're trying to get out of the market. So
Can I ask you then about the cost of houses?
Yes.
So pre-COVID, I think that let's say you had a house that you purchased, I don't know, for $500,000, $550,000. That house today is now worth over $1 million with,
Give or take,
Zillow
yeah.
estimates, right?
Right.
Like when you look
And
at.
I know that real estate agents hate when you bring up Zillow estimates,
Yeah,
right?
but
I mean, Zillow's a great
because
tool.
I think most,
Okay.
most people like know how to log on, right?
Right, it's
and,
easy.
And you at home, if you're watching, I'd love to hear from you if you track how much your house was worth. But I think so many people said Phoenix was always low, and now we kind of leveled off. But will that house ever go down? Can you ever buy a 3-bedroom house for, $550,000 again?
Yeah, I mean,
or?
a part of the reason that the housing market went through such a kind of a boom is a lot of companies are moving here. There's big companies. I mean, you're seeing all over, especially in like East Mesa and TSMC and all those companies. That's bringing a lot of jobs and a lot of money and a lot of people to Arizona.
And those are high-paying jobs too.
Right. So you're getting a lot of, good jobs for people, engineers and things like that are coming to Arizona. And there's, if they are in California or they're somewhere where they're selling their house that was way inflated already, like, well, wow, I can buy an amazing house here for half of what I paid for in California or somewhere like that. So as for the pricing, we are seeing pricing come down a bit. We're about 1 or 2% lower than in previous months. And that has a lot to do with interest rates. Interest rates can be pretty tough right now, which, hopefully there's no for sure, but it seems like in the next, 1 to 2 years, those prices or those interest rates may be coming down a bit.
When you say a bit, what's a bit?
I don't want to be quoted here, but I don't think we'll ever see.
What's a guess?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. Our mortgage is at 2.99.
Right, and that's
the big reason we're not looking or selling is because where am I going to get a 2.99 and afford the house?
I think that people may think that those may come back again. I don't think we ever see 2 or 3% interest rates again. I think that was so low. That was like a once in a lifetime, and the money was almost free, if you will. I don't think we'll see that again.
Because my husband's like, let's pay the mortgage off. I'm like, but this is free money, essentially.
I know. And it's hard. It's like some people may call it like the golden handcuffs. You have such a good interest rate, but maybe you're outgrowing your house, or you want to make changes, or whatever it is. And
well, that's kind of the next thing I wanted to ask you, is because it feels like a lot of these people may want to move on to a bigger home, but yet they don't want to lose what they have because they might be in that great interest rate. And then if you buy a new home, obviously it's going to cost you more because you're going to a bigger home, but that interest rate's also going to kill you. So then you're basically kind of just stuck in the house that you've been in, which means there's not a lot on the inventory for potential
unless
buyers.
You have that much equity that you can sell your house, take that cash, and then try to buy something.
And that's part of it. You see houses that are sitting a little bit longer in the market than they were previously. The amount of houses on the market right now, during the the COVID era, I guess you could say, there was 3,000 to 5,000 houses. Now we're pushing 27, 28, 30,000.
Now you brought some great graphics, and I want to kind of go over some
of these. Can we do comments really quick? Just if you want, and then I want to do the graphics. But Quartz and Cole says Blackstone and Vanguard bought up a lot of real estate during 2020. Let me see if we have anything else. But talk about that though, because I've heard that too. You have big corporations that can give 10,000 more.
Right. Investors kind of saw ahead of the curve when they saw that, especially something like TSMC was coming here. They knew that was going there. They bought the houses around the area. So, I mean, investors in any city with up and coming areas, they're going to be buying those houses, and which is tough for home buyers and first-time home buyers, especially when younger families are trying to get into a house, but you're getting beat out by a cash offer.
Yeah, you can't compete.
It is, but I will say that I have noticed that some sellers are seeing that more, and they're more understanding. And if you do come in and make a nice offer, and they see that it's a family, or a single person or whatever it is, instead of BlackRock or something like that, they might consider that. Obviously, it's hard to beat out a crazy offer, but
money always talks.
Can you still write a letter? I've heard you're not allowed to write letters anymore.
I understand why it could go both ways. I don't know. I've seen people do it and work out well, but it's kind of a fine line to dance on.
All right, let's dig into some of these graphics, because you sent these over and I thought they were really fascinating. So this is the first one, the Maricopa County price reduction. So walk me through what we're looking at here.
So this is kind of, I think this is really showing that a lot of the houses that are on the market, if you come to, if I was a seller, I was about to sell my house, price your house correctly. That is like the biggest thing that I can say. Because if you're coming in and you're looking at these houses sold in the peak of 2023, 2024, those are going to be higher. Yeah. It's hard to walk away from seeing that huge number. You're like, that's what my house is worth. Of course, you want the biggest number you can, but pricing your house accordingly, and that's what this is kind of showing, that most houses, I think it's 51% are doing a price reduction. When you do a price reduction, you're going to be staying on the market longer. You're going to be, when houses start getting into that 90, 100 days, people see that and they're like, they get a little wary. I don't know if I should go see that house even.
Yeah, it's got
who knows
on it.
Why,
exactly.
why
really
are they
do.
wary of that though? Why are they so worried?
I think it kind of comes down to the fact that people see this sitting. They're like, well, other people have seen this house and they haven't put an offer in on it. There has to be something wrong with it.
Right.
I'm not going to even look at it.
Yeah.
But there is situations, recently I had a client that we went and looked at that house that was on the market for a long time, and they actually, during that process, they remodeled the whole thing, and we went in there like, this place is amazing, and we ended up putting an offer on it, and they got the house.
So you never know. You gotta go.
You never know.
Yeah, you have to go look.
Yeah.
All right, you sent these over, and I think, excuse me. These
Market update. We're going to go to Buckeye.
Buckeye. I thought we'd start over in the west side.
Yeah.
And I think this is really interesting. This was from your title company that kind of provides this
Yes,
info
the title
for you?
company sends these out to us each month. It's good to post on social media.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
$439 average price of a home.
Yes.
So how big?
It can vary. I mean, it depends on the location. Obviously, this is Buckeye, for example, but it can vary. I mean,
this surprises me. 63 days on the market?
Yeah, and that's from start to close. So, it has on average, you're around 30 to 45 days once you go under contract before you close. So that's saying that they're on the market for between, 10 and 30 days before they
that's
get
quick.
an offer. Yeah.
That's very quick.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I think that people see that number and think it's higher than it is because during, again, a few years ago, you would get 10 offers in a week.
Or the first day.
Or the first day, and
That's
exactly.
where we saw a lot of those coming soons, and
right.
then you never saw it actually go up for sale.
Bought out from under you.
Yeah.
Chandler.
So $595,000 is the average sale price right now.
Yeah.
And the days on the market a little
lower.
Less.
Yeah. And it is tough because when you look at these, this is taking the average of everything. So you do have, if you look at like Paradise Valley or Scottsdale, they might have those houses that sold for multi-millions, and then maybe the lower portion isn't. It's kind of skewing it a little bit, but these are great to kind of get an idea of, what the price per square foot is and how long it's staying on the market. Yeah. The numbers are high. I mean, it's It's tough. It is tough. When you see these numbers, especially if you're thinking of moving, it can kind of skew your view on it. But I would say if I was a first-time home buyer seeing these numbers, you're used to, you get kind of programmed that you're going to pay rent. Every month it's this much. It's $2,000, $3,000. When you spread that over 30 years and you look at the number, it's these numbers.
Yeah.
So
what's interesting to me is you're paying more for less square footage in Phoenix than you are, for example.
And there's a kind of reason behind that.
Yeah,
the
you're
older
in the
homes,
city, yeah.
well, that's part of it, but the older homes, nowadays people want big, huge houses. These are a lot, not all of them, but in Phoenix, there's a lot of houses that were built in, 1950, 1960, and they were just smaller houses. Some of them, a lot of people, buy in that Arcadia area because they'll buy the small house with the huge yard so that they can build onto it and make something a bit bigger for themselves.
I thought the Queen Creek one was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Look at the average sale price in
Queen Creek is booming.
It's
wow.
Look at that.
It's doing great.
Close to $700,000.
And you have a lot of new homes in Queen Creek.
Right. That's part of it. There is a lot of new builds out there, which, it's for people that are, moving to Arizona or want to find a new city that kind of has everything that it has to offer. Everything is getting built new there. You're getting new restaurants, new places. A lot of stuff is popping up. So,
but you have a longer drive if you do work in the city, for example.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. I mean, definitely if you're working in the city, but I mean, so many people work from home now if you do get a bigger house, and that's part of it. You are seeing, bigger houses being built nowadays. So the more expensive they are, they're a little farther out. It might be worth it. And if you tried to go get that same size house in Scottsdale or
So the big thing that we've been hearing the past couple weeks is it's a buyer's market. Is it? And what does that mean?
It is a buyer's market. That basically means that A, the house price have came down, but B, you're getting more concessions. So for first-time home buyers, they're getting a percentage of the concessions built into the contract so that they can use something to cover closing costs. They can use that to go towards a buy down. So buy downs are great. I think it's a great option for people because especially with these high interest rates, if you have, you're getting put in at a 7% interest rate and you're able to buy it down 2% for the first year and then 1% for the next year, in hopes of in the next couple of years it comes down, you can refinance. Right. That's kind of the best case scenario.
There's a way around everything.
Yeah, it really is.
So we got about a minute left.
Okay.
I know you don't have a crystal ball, but if you could kind of look, do you think here in Arizona, do you think things are going to cool down a little bit? Because it seems like we were kind of like,
I think we're kind of getting into more of a balanced market. Instead of it being like a huge seller's market or a huge buyer's market, I think it's going to become more balanced as we kind of see what takes place over the next couple of years, especially with interest rates and things of that nature. So I think balancing is good. It kind of cools off everyone from getting too crazy with things.
Greg, how can folks find you? They're in the market.
Yeah, I reach out to me either on social media or through my brokerage or search my name. I'll pop up on there and give me a call, and I'd love to talk with anyone who's looking to buy or sell.
Spell the last name.